Hi, this is Enrique Guerra Medina from Art, Then, and Now. Thank you for joining us today. This podcast is designed to bring you trends, insights, history, works, and biographies of artists around the world, broadcasted from our studio in Lima, Peru. In today's show, we're going to talk about a very enigmatic painter. His artwork has been the subject of many discussions, from his followers to his radical detractors, for so long since the Middle Age. Little is known about him. Not many records to build his personality and judge objectively his artwork are found. Looking at his masterpieces is like getting into a nightmare, where every single fantasy can become a reality, or probably we could say the other way, every single reality can become a total fantasy. We're talking about Hieronymus Bosh. The first time I saw one of Bosch's famous paintings, Christ Carrying the Cross, I was thoroughly impressed by the unforgettable face expressions of the people that surrounded Jesus Christ on his long path to the Calvary. Although the unique Bosch's style to represent people's face gestures and attitudes is shown in this painting, there are some experts who attribute this one not to Bosch but to one of his followers. Anyway, you will find this great piece of art as being attributed to Bosch in most of the art reference books. On the lower right corner of this square-shaped painting, we can see three men having an argument and a fourth one who is just watching. Their mouths are very open and their eyeballs protrude just when someone feels overwhelmed with anger and hatred. Jesus is in the middle of the canvas and is carrying the cross silently. No paint gesture is made by him. He looks calm and shows an unusual peace on his face. It seems like the cross is so light that carrying it is not really a big deal. Standing on his right, two men seem to talk to him, probably making him accountable for his failures and all his suffering. Next to them, a beauty is apparently teased from behind by a man who looks at her in a very provocative way. This woman is Saint Veronica, also known as Berenike, the one who gave Jesus her kerchief for him to wipe his sweat. Jesus' face is clearly imprinted on the kerchief she has between her hands. You can notice that all people around Jesus, with the exception of Saint Veronica, are terribly ugly. They look like monsters with their eyes extremely open and away from a neutral gaze. Next to Jesus' left side, two Roman soldiers, one shouting and the other looking straight as to prevent intrusive actions on his way. On the upper right corner of the canvas, one man seems to intimidate another, and behind this, an inexpressive old man looks serene, patient, and undoubtful. He seems to be an authority or somebody with power who has decided to keep going with Jesus' punishment or supervising all the process until the very end. Born in Hieronymus, Netherlands in 1450 to a family of painters, Bosh lived almost all his life in that city until he died at the age of 66. There are not many records of his life. His artwork looks obscure and mysterious. The symbolism that he uses in all his paintings come obviously from a strong Christian influence. In his paintings, Bosh represented the obsessions and anxieties of men and women of his own time in a masterly manner. The Christian influence in terms of sin versus punishment, heaven versus hell, the human spiritual life against the material corruption of humans is more than obvious in all his masterpieces. When he was 13, there was a big fire in his town. This experience marked him deeply as he uses regularly that event as a theme in some sections of his creations. There are around 25 paintings that are usually attributed to him. Bosh's works reflect the artist's life through a complex spiritual climate that was almost medieval, with the result that, at the end of the 15th century, it underwent a profound crisis of change and growth. The artist produced countless pieces of drawings and paintings, but unfortunately, many of his works were destroyed in the Protestant Reformation of the 16th century, which considered them immoral. At the end of the 16th century, Felipe II of Spain confiscated and acquired many of Bosh's works. Therefore, the Prado Museum owns at the present time 15 of Bosh's paintings, as for example, the triptych of the Adoration of the Magi, the Extraction of the Stone of Madness, the Temptations of Saint Anthony the Abbot, and the Garden of Earthly Delights, among others. This last one is a triptych. It means it is made of 3 panels. The first panel represents the paradise where Adam, Eve, and God is represented. They are surrounded by plants and fancy animals like a unicorn, a bird with 3 heads, as well as really weird imaginary fauna. The middle panel represents the humanity. All people, male and female, are totally naked. They are involved in all kinds of activities from which flirting, sex, and more are considered as sins. It is the delight of humans who take their desires to the extreme. The third panel represents hell, the punishment of humans because of their lack of control over their sins. The 3 panels have horrendous creatures that surround humans, probably as a source of constant temptation. Being humans sinful and weak, they have to pay for their sins in the fire of hell. The meticulous design of every single character shows us Bosh's painting skills to work on every single detail. If you're curious about Bosh's artwork, you can visit the Prado Museum webpage or travel into Spain and enjoy the magnificence of his 15 masterpieces. That's it for today's show. Thanks a lot for joining us in this adventure of art and history. As you enjoy this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Rate, review, and share this podcast with your friends. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope to build a special connection with you and your sensitivity for the arts. Have a nice day.